Good morning and welcome to the fourth hour with Craig Belfrage. Hope you had an absolutely sensational weekend. The president, there is some breaking news here this morning, and this is since the radio show this morning. The president, well, hold on. Let's set this up. The Supreme Court may need to decide if this judge can require the administration to reinstate thousands of these probationary federal employees. And so that's the order. This judge issued the order last week during a federal court hearing. There have been a number of things that have been at play. So the president now saying that this was a dangerous order by this judge. In fact, let's go to the president's True Social account, and he's got some reaction there. So he's being asked about this. This is about 30 minutes ago that the president posted this. He's being asked about this judge's ruling, and here's the president's response. It's hard to hear her question. Got to rehire these fired workers.
I think it's absolutely. I have nothing to do with that other than I heard about the decision. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely. It's a judge that's putting himself in the position of the president of the United States, who was elected by close to 80 million votes. And
it's a great point.
Having more and more of that's a very dangerous thing for our country. And I would suspect that we're going to have to get a decision from the Supreme Court. But that's a very dangerous decision for our country. These are people, in many cases, they don't show up for work. Nobody even knows if they exist.
Yeah.
And a judge wants us to pay them even if they don't know they exist. If they exist, and I don't think that's going to be happening, but we'll have to see. I have to speak to the lawyers.
I love the way you're. I don't think that's going to be happening. I don't know. Given the things that we see happen in this country, I fear as to whether or not it will. So then apparently he was also asked about Joe Biden using the auto pen. It's been a big story here over the weekend and this morning. So the president being asked about it.
It looked like we had an auto pen for a president, and we would have been better off if we had, probably. But it looks to me like, that's a big subject. I'm sure you won't ask about that. But the whole subject of auto pen, did he know what he was doing? Did he authorize it? Or is this somebody in an office, maybe a radical left lunatic, just signing whatever that person wants? That's not what it's all about.
And this is why the president had responded earlier this morning. In fact, on True Social, I'll scroll down here a little bit. Of the pardons, I want you to see this. He said they are void, vacant, and of no further force or effect, because they were done by auto pen. In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them. That's what Trump is alleging. Whether or not that's the case, I really don't know. But the president said the necessary pardoning documents were not explained to or approved by Biden. He knew nothing about them. And the people that did may have committed a crime. So he's saying, therefore, all of these folks on the Unselect Committee, he's saying, who were going after Trump, he says, in other words, they ought to be careful. They should fully understand that they are subject to investigation at the highest level. So where that actually stands, we'll have to wait and see. Let's go back to Trump. Yeah, the NASA astronauts who are SpaceX has made it up to the International Space Station. And so those astronauts will be home here in the next few days. And you hear there are two of them, and you hear them, thanking SpaceX for getting up there. But pay attention to what the second one says here. This is pretty incredible.
We're coming back before long, so, don't make all those plans without me. We'll be back before too long.
I can tell you at the outset, all of us have the utmost respect for Mr. Musk, and obviously respect and admiration for our president of the United States. Donald Trump. We appreciate them. We appreciate all that they do for us, for human spaceflight, for our nation. And we're thankful that they are in the positions they're in.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are thankful that they're in the positions they're in. I was trying to see, there was also, this is, he's posting a bunch of new stuff even as we speak, or his office is. I haven't viewed this. This is Secretary Kristi Noem. Biden administration purposely misled the American public by categorizing illegal aliens they released into the country as arrests. So the days of immigration enforcement theater are over, says Kristi Noem. So those are some of the stories on, and that's what the president is talking about on his True Social account this morning. The edgy in regard to the documents that the president signed. Edgy says reports say that Biden wasn't even in D.C. when they were signed, despite the pardons saying they were signed in D.C. Yeah, there are a lot of things that are going on here that are just really kind of shocking. Also, we've got some big events that'll be happening here in the next few days. The president and Putin talking about the war in Ukraine. They'll be visiting together tomorrow. And Trump is talking about this a little bit. He hasn't shared too much. He said, we'll have to see if we have something to announce maybe by Tuesday. I will be speaking to President Putin on Tuesday. A lot of work's been done over the weekend. We want to see if we can bring that war to an end. So the Kremlin really is not speaking at all. The president, however, is saying land and power plants. We will be talking about land. We will be talking about power plants. He said, be talking about dividing up certain assets. So that'll be taking place coming up tomorrow. That's a big story. Let's go over to Breitbart because they've got an exclusive interview with Scott Bassett explaining how Trump will provide certainty to the economy. And he visited with them for like 40 minutes. That's a pretty extensive interview, 40 minutes. And he says, for your viewers, I want to make one thing clear. We say that the tax cuts are extended, that for 35 years in my investment career, I talked about CBO, the Congressional Budget Office. Congressional Budget Office does this scoring. And he said, for 35 years, we talked about CBO scoring. And I never really understood the way it worked. Now that I'm on this side of a wall, it's the craziest accounting you've ever seen. So the tax cuts expire, but the spending that gets put through never expires. So we are seeing that we are extending the tax cuts when in reality, it's what we've had. On the spending, no one says, oh, you have to re-up the spending. So you understand what he's saying here? Tax cuts, you have to reauthorize. The tax cuts expire. The federal spending never expires. So they put this federal spending in place, and then that remains. The tax cuts, however, you need to revisit. If that isn't the most, bass-backwards way of doing something, typical of Washington, D.C. And I really appreciate what Mr. Bassett is saying here. So this is why we want to make, I'll call it the current tax rates rather than the tax cuts. We want to make the current tax rates permanent and give Americans, small business, big business, American households certainty on what their tax rates are going to be. I think that that's very powerful and will have a great stimulus effect. A lot of attention on the economy right now, as you know. So he's talking about making the current tax rates permanent. Also, then some of the other things that President Trump has talked about, no tax on tips, overtime, or Social Security wages, no taxes on those. We were talking about Social Security this morning. I think that's something that some are forgetting. So Bessent said that's part of the president's solution to the affordability crisis, because now that inflation is shown, prices are still at a high absolute level. So he's talking about how we cure that: real wage growth, getting prices down, and getting tax cuts. That's the three ways Bessent is saying you get that done. I want to go back to Breitbart, take a look at their front page, because this is, oh yeah, we've got the Democrats. This is Representative Jasmine Crockett on CNN yesterday. Many Americans want young, fresh leadership. When asked if Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer should stay in his role, they're really upset. See, the Democrats are really upset with Chuck Schumer. And a lot of them are just sounding off. They're going to the media and they are just, the Democrats are always angry. They're always angry. And I think we all get angry occasionally. The Democratic Party operates on anger. You take away the anger, what is there? I mean, it's a vacuum of ideas. It's just absolutely crazy. So Jasmine Crockett saying, I understand that the American people are frustrated. Believe me, many of us did not sleep because we were calling and trying to impress upon the senators the importance of pushing back in this moment. You saw we had all but one Democrat in the House that voted for this. So all of the Democrats, but over on the Senate side. Yeah. Now, listen, I don't mean to, I'm not laughing at Jasmine Crockett or any of the Democrats. The anger at Schumer is what's so incredible. So they're angry with Chuck Schumer. He really didn't have any choice. He really didn't. I mean, you're going to shut down the country, and what an absolute nightmare debacle that would be. The number of people who would have been hurt by that if you closed down the country. So they didn't want Schumer, and we talked about it a little bit Friday. That was a big story Friday morning. Senator Schumer, the president even gave him credit and thanked him, which I'm sure just maybe even riled Senator Schumer a little bit more. But it's just the reaction to all of that is Jasmine Crockett and others is a little bit tough to take. Okay, there was a poll that just came out. I think I'm going to skip that story. Okay. There was a poll that just came out, and I mentioned this on the program this morning. Favorability of the Democratic Party plunges to an all-time low. It's one of the reasons why he said the approval rating of the president is not the important thing right now. Look at favorability for the Democrats. They are in the sewer, man. They are in the sewer. It's absolutely bad. So you get, and this is a CNN poll. So you can't say, oh, that's a Breitbart poll or that's some right-wing poll. No, it's state media, CNN, doing this poll. So they're saying the problems for the Democratic Party with voters don't seem to be running out. 5 months after the election, now their favorability has sunk to an all-time low. Less than 1 in 3 American voters, view the party favorably. So they are on a downward slope. So you got Democratic popularity way down. All right. Now keep that in mind, because let's take a look at a little bit more of this. This is over at, I think this post-millennial I got. Yeah, post-millennial. 44% of voters say America is headed in the right direction. Now, this is the same poll that was done by NBC News. And Trump's approval rating tied his last highest approval rating at 47%. So he's at 47%. Donald Trump at 47% with Americans right now. I mean, that Americans are you in polling, you could never please Americans based on these polls. You just can't. I think you've got to have in mind what's best for the country. You really do. You can't be looking at polls. This would just be an absolute train wreck. It's like, 47%. And then you got a number of people saying, sharing their concern. Cost of living, for instance, 40% of Americans say he's bringing the right change. 30% say he's bringing the wrong change. But still, look at this. Even though you don't have, 60, 70%, you still have got more Americans who think he's bringing the right kind of changes. And this is what I find really incredible. So 46% say Trump's bringing the right change. 30% wrong change. 21% do not think he has brought much change at all. What? What in the world are they talking about? They don't believe that Donald Trump, excuse me, I'm going to have to cough here. Excuse me. They don't believe that Trump has brought any change at all? How uninformed or ignorant must you be? I mean, he's brought a lot of change. And I understand that, people who are frustrated, they don't like it, so on. I totally get that. But you don't believe that Trump has brought any change at all? We've got plane loads of people who are being sent out of the country. We got the borders closed, people turning away. You don't think he's brought any change at all? That to me is how ignorant must those 21% be? That is, I don't know who participates in polls. Apparently among our Americans, that poorly informed. I'd like to believe that's not the case. That might be wishful thinking. I would admit that to you. I think very freely. Might be wishful thinking. I'd like to believe that's not the case, but 21% don't believe that Trump has brought any change at all. You have got to be kidding me. I understand why Democrats and the left wing are having fits. It's because of the change that he's bringing. It's just absolutely crazy. So, I think you're right, David. Living under a rock. And Edgy saying that 21% represents the amount of our population that lives under a rock. Exclusively watching reality TV. Yeah, it's really kind of crazy. Kathy calls them low information voters. No question. Was it Rush who coined that? I think it was Rush. Low information voters. Rush Limbaugh always talked about them on his program. And essentially, that's who we're talking about. So there was one other. This is outside of the political. And I'm sharing this with you because it just hit my funny bone. And I hope you find it funny as well. This is okay. Mike Francesca is he was doing his podcast and he got upset with his staff. And I'm going to roll. There's video of this because he didn't realize that he was live. Didn't realize he was live. And he starts getting into it. Now, this is like 3 minutes long. It's too long. I'll start it and then we'll jump ahead a little bit. But I got to tell you, it's funny.
Excuse me, who's correcting me?
Somebody's talking in his ear.
Hello? Stop. Break the tape. Who's correcting me?
Break the tape. So he says, stop the tape.
Who was that?
He's live. And he doesn't
said
know it.
that?
He has no idea.
Who was talking to me?
So then he starts. They don't want to talk to him
One of
because
you
he's
guys just
lying.
said that St. John's has won the Big East tournament. They have not won the title yet. You win the title tomorrow night. The championship trophy goes with tomorrow night's winner.
So he's
not go with the
scolding
regular
them,
season
not realizing
champion.
he's live.
Comes to
So
the winner
let's
of tomorrow night's game.
and he
no
goes
matter who
on
it
for
is,
several minutes before
so whoever's bleeding through, knock it off. Because I heard you guys talking, and the information you were given was wrong. What?
Here it comes.
No, we'll start over again.
Start over again. No, you're live, man.
We broke off the air, didn't we?
Oh no.
We're live. This was all on the air. Just yell at you guys. What?
Yeah, this is all on the air.
You got to be kidding me. You guys have got to be kidding me.
I feel
All right. I apologize for that outburst. Okay, folks. All right. I didn't realize we were live. I thought we were taping this. Okay. That's my mistake. I didn't realize that. Now, so this is going to go viral now because I yelled at you guys. You realize that?
You realize that it's nobody's fault but
the
yours,
championship
man.
Goes to tomorrow night's team, but that's not the point.
So then he's explaining it again. We've already got that, man. Mike, we've already been we already got that. Then it goes to tomorrow night. Okay, yeah. Message received, Mike. Oh, thank God I am just like I'm doing my own thing. When I'm on the air, it's just me. When I'm doing this, it's just me. I know when I'm live. I know, when I'm on the air in the morning, I know when I'm live. Once in a while, I maybe will have the mic on and I think it's off. Occasionally, happened to me on Friday, but and I coughed, I think, or something. But being, whoa, that's a rough way to start a podcast. For the first 3 minutes of the podcast, you don't even realize that you're on live. Okay, you are part of my gallery of champions because you made it to the end of the video today. If you would hit that like button, I would very much appreciate it. And I want to wish you a really wonderful week. Hope you have a terrific day today. Hope to see you again tomorrow. How are we going to sign? I got to find some kind of way to sign this thing off. And working on an intro for the 4th hour rather than the video countdown, coming up with a produced intro. So all of these things are in the works. So things hopefully will improve them. But I've got to, I don't know, throw a salute to the captain behind me there. Thanks so much for letting me join you. See you again soon, I hope. Take care.